Okay, so in the last video I showed you how to do a 3-area face and how to divide any rectangle into thirds. And here I'm just going over the sketch that I did, and I am going to ink it. So here we go. Just going to darken some of the initial lines that we used, the top and the bottom of the face, and then the sides of the head. And now we're going to go from corner to corner to find the middle of the rectangle. So from top to bottom we're going to find halfway. And there we go. We've found halfway from top to bottom, which would be where the eyes are. You know, you could pretty much put the iris and pupil of an eye right on the halfway line from the top of the head. Now the only problem is with this is that it really isn't halfway of the entire head, because we're going to add a portion on top of this for the actual top of the skull. This rectangle represents the 3 areas of the face from the hairline down to the bottom of the chin. So if this was the entire skull, the halfway point would be where the eyes are. And now we're going to cut 1/2 from corner to corner, and this will expose where those 2 lines cross, and these are the thirds of the rectangle. And I guess I didn't like something there, so I got rid of it. So this line will represent the bottom of the nose, and this line will represent the eyebrows. There's a lot of ways to divide rectangles into thirds, but this is a pretty accurate way, and as you're going to see in a bit, you don't need a ruler of any kind to get pretty accurate divisions of thirds. Because you might be drawing and you know you're just in the mood and you're doing a drawing or whatever, and you want to divide things accurately into thirds, and you don't always want to have to hunt down a ruler or do a bunch of specific measuring. So I'm just experimenting and putting my hand on a piece of paper so I don't smudge the lines. And now I've got my brush pen, and I'm going to make some initial inks here. Just get the basic outline. I'm going to ink the thickness of the skull on the sides, because the back of your skull is wider than the front. It tapers towards your face. Inking and working with brush pens I find really soothing. Adding the bridge of the nose and some basic eyebrow shapes. And then I'm doing a simple 4-line ear. They're pretty easy to do from a front view of a face. And there's the cheekbones. Now I put them in pretty much with straight lines, but if you were doing a realistic sketch, you might curve them a lot more. And here's my little fancy M shape that I often use for noses. Works well for me. I think I got it from Gil Kane, the famous comic artist who did the Atom, and but he did so much more. He did Warlock. He did a lot of great comics. One of my favorite artists. He did some Spider-Man. Yeah. And he had a neat way of doing noses, and I think that influenced me. So if you're looking for some cool comics, try and find anything drawn by Gil Kane. I like to do this little seagull shape for the opening of the mouth. It works really well. And then there's so many different shapes you can use for jaws. Just look at the people around you. And oh, I don't think I did that side. That's looking lopsided to me. Oh well, things you don't see. I find it when I'm working at my desk sometimes, because the lights are overhead, I can't lean in and look at things the way I want to sometimes. So that'll be my excuse why the jaw is not symmetrical. And here what I'm doing is I'm taking the top third from the eyebrows to the hairline, and I'm going to use my little technique there to create thirds. And what I'm showing you here is that from the hairline line at the top of the rectangle, you can add another third on top of it for the top of the skull, and that's pretty accurate. There we go, from the corner to the halfway point, and that shows you right. Am I going to draw that line? Oh, I see, I'm doing the other part of it too. So right there and there are where the thirds are, and there we go. I'm just going to cut that top section into thirds like that. There's a third, and then I show you here that we're going to add about a third on top of the original rectangle for the top of the skull. And I've found that always works really well. And now what I'm showing you here is that if you divide the bottom third of the entire rectangle into thirds, you'll find that the opening line of the mouth falls, I guess it's, yeah, there's halfway. And then we're going to go from the corner down to the halfway line. Yeah, and where those two lines cross, that's where the opening of the mouth is. Don't really need that line, but right there you can see that's the 2/3, and the mouth opening is right on it. Okay, so by being able to divide any rectangle or square into thirds, you can keep your proportions pretty accurate without. Now I'm doing this with rulers and everything, but you can do it all freehand, and I showed that in the thirds and 3-area face video. So you just check that one out there that I did last week, and you'll see how to do it freehand without a ruler or anything. Alright, so there's the initial sketch, and now I'm going to add some basic shading in with some hatching. And I've got a nice fine pen brush here. And now we'll do the pupils. And a tiny little shine. And one of my students pointed out to me that my left eye wasn't 100% symmetrical with the right eye. And that's true, but if you start looking at real people, a lot of people, especially when they're older, it's more obvious. But a lot of people, I find, they have a left eye that's significantly higher than the right eye. And I see it when I'm watching TV a lot because for some reason the lighting exposes it. And like I say, as a person ages, these kind of asymmetries show up. So I could give you some specific names, but I'm not going to do that because, yeah, famous people on TV. But anyway, just start looking around, and you'll eventually find some people that the left eye is significantly higher than the right eye, and once you lock onto it, it might freak you out a little bit. So why am I saying that? Because your eyes don't have to be perfectly symmetrical when you draw. And then I'm doing the little dragon in the ear. That's what I call it. I think there's a technical name for that little thing in everybody's ear, but it looks like a dragon mouth to me, so I call it the dragon in the ear. And now that I'm inking, I'm starting to add smoothness and curves to some of the lines that I had down a little more straight. And by adding in this shading here on the side of the nose, we're assuming that the light is coming from the top left of the image. Just adding in some basic shading, just having fun with the whole thing. Alright, and now we're going to thicken up some of the lines. Adding in a fake shadow underneath the chin here. But if you look at a lot of comics, especially older comics, 60s, 70s, 50s, it's pretty interesting to see what artists were doing back then, and what artists could get away with. Now in the new modern age here, you can criticize everything pretty quick. So this example here is just a quick example of how you might want to start inking simply. A simple inking job here. But even a few thick lines, varying the weight of the lines adds a bit of character to any sketch. And there we go. That's it.